So my name is Soren Aldaco. I am a student fellow at the National Disability Center for Student Success, and I'm also a graduate student in the Department of Educational Psychology at the University of Texas at Austin.
I'm Jen Moon. I'm a professor of instruction in molecular biosciences and a vice provost for professional track faculty, and I'm a faculty mentor at the center. We're here to talk about our mentorship relationship.
Our mentorship relationship.
And how long ago were we paired?
We were paired 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yes. That was in 2022.
That's some good math right there.
Yeah.
I got connected because I knew Stephanie through some other channels, some other colleagues of mine, and I've always been a huge admirer of Stephanie because she is amazing.
She's someone to be admired.
Absolutely. And through that interaction, she had reached out to me and just sent me an email and said, hey, I'm setting up this center. I'm looking for faculty mentors. Would you be interested in serving in that role? And I said, absolutely. Because I will say, I always try to make, my classroom and my teaching accessible and making sure that I'm mindful of folks with disabilities, but I didn't know a lot about it. And so I thought this is a great opportunity to meet and work with a student that could give me some perspective and just kind of help me think through ways that I could teach better.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I met Stephanie back in 2021, so I've actually known her for 4 years,
Okay.
which is one more than 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we originally partnered together on her Collaborative for Access and Equity,
Mm-hmm.
which was a predecessor of sorts, where we worked with faculty, also the students did, to review classrooms for accessibility purposes, to see what professors were doing that really worked and what we as disabled students might have needed to have altered in those courses. And the professor that I met Stephanie through, I'd been working with on a couple of different projects, and once I knew Stephanie through that, this opportunity appeared, and she was like, you want to come on as a student fellow? And I was like, yes, I absolutely do. I love working with faculty. I love getting to improve education. It's something I've been really passionate about my entire life, and here we are, 3 years deep in the project.
Absolutely. We should talk maybe a little bit about how we set up our meeting. So
Yeah.
we talked about the frequency,
We did.
and did we start? So I know for a while we met every 2 weeks.
We did. That was the first and second year.
Okay.
And it was also because I was working on my undergraduate honors thesis at the time. And it's not that was really the topic of it was how the internet's influencing identity formation, which as a molecular biologist isn't really in Jen's.
It's not really my purview.
Yeah, her house. As a parent maybe, but as a professional it's a little bit different. But just the support I think was really important to me, because that is, I think, what I've really valued about my time with Jen and getting to know Jen is we're just two people in higher ed who know a lot of people and can see all the connections and understand how the institution interacts with all its moving parts, and so to have that perspective, just the way that she thinks, I think especially was really, really valuable at the time.
That is so interesting you say that, because I was going to say the same thing about you. So when I first met Soren, I was completely blown away by your intellect. So just those first meetings, really I was excited to hear from your perspective being a student in this space, what were some things that you felt were important to you, and how I could learn from you in that way. And then I knew that there's this other component about you're working on this thesis, and I've written a thesis, back in the day.
You're a seasoned professional.
And then I thought maybe I could help out with that. But in general, I thought it would be a great opportunity to communicate and learn from each other. Sitting down and listening to Soren's thoughts about the project, things you're thinking about, how you're connecting all these different ideas, I could listen to it for hours. It's really amazing. And so I've just learned so much, not even things that I expected to learn, but more about your project and your thesis and the way you're thinking and constructing ideas and synthesizing ideas. And it's a fascinating thing to watch. So it was not only just us, to begin with, we had this mentorship pairing, and I thought we're quite clear, here's how I could help and this is how you could help me. But it turned out to be so much more than that. And it really blossomed into this mentorship relationship that is absolutely 2 directional and I just really enjoy getting to know you and seeing how you've developed. Just seeing the growth and the experiences and all the things has just been incredibly rewarding for me to see. So
I appreciate that.
probably long-winded, but that's...
No, but I appreciate that. And I think too, like that, I definitely expected the mentorship pairing to be more of that formulaic thing at first, right? But I need to fulfill this role as a student fellow, and you need to fulfill this role as a faculty cadre member. But I do think over time, one of the most valuable things that I've gotten from this pairing has been kind of separate from the disability focus of the center, right? And maybe more aligned with the focus of the center on developing disabled students, like succeeding from within, to be able to like cultivate that change from within, which was one of the topics of our last meetings. Was like, what do you do to like help academia be better when you're within a system that has a lot of moving parts, and one moving part gets broken and the rest is kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I don't know, it's just been really amazing, and it's made me, I think, have a more clearer vision for the future, for like how I can develop as a professional, even outside of the center and just academia at large. Like, it's been, I think, really insightful and rewarding in that way.
That's awesome. One of the things that really struck me in terms of like, I was trying to think of like concrete ways that our conversations have just completely given me ideas and thoughts about how to move forward and making my classes more accessible and communicating disability needs with others. And that, remember that time we were talking about AI and AI in the classroom?
Yes.
And you said, well, you know, what I find really useful about ChatGPT is that when I'm responding to emails, I can put in like how I want to respond, and the ChatGPT can tell me if it's too direct or if I can modify it a little bit to be more like conversational, or you can interpret how an email has been written to you, right?
Yeah. So understanding tone, rather than using it as a generative kind of tool, seeing it as like, I'm trying to be professional. Is it coming across a little bit too
assertive? So I thought that was really interesting in that in some ways you were using ChatGPT to interpret sort of the unwritten, how do I say this? Like the tone of an email that maybe wouldn't be accessible to you to just read it and know, but like to have some kind of confirmation, like, yeah, this was a little direct, or this isn't, you know, that kind of thing. I thought that was so fascinating. So I've thought about that a lot.
And I think that like it's really helpful for me as someone who doesn't always discern tone very easily, but also just for a lot of students. Like I think, and that's something that we talk a lot about at the center, is a lot of the work that you do in making your classrooms more accessible for disabled students translates very well into making your classrooms more accessible for students generally. Because in Stephanie's book, the title of it captures this very well: disability is human. And so by accommodating disability, we really accommodate everybody. And all the possibilities within that.
Let's talk about, so we had a few sessions where you were kind of really deep into your thesis.
Yes, I did.
And we spent some of our mentorship time kind of thinking about sort of logistics and also just like approaches. And I remember you sharing like, here's where I'm stuck, or here's some things. You remember that?
Yeah, well, I think I've spent this goes back to something that it kind of goes back to the rewardingness that I was referring to earlier about what I've gotten from you in terms of balancing the personal complexity with the institutional constraints. When I was writing my thesis, I was becoming very frustrated that I couldn't just like get my ideas out in the way that I would get my ideas out conversationally. Like you really have to be strategic and when you're communicating in an essay. And I was having a hard time writing without overthinking it, because of that balance and that dance. And I remember you telling me that it's gonna be really tough while you're doing it, but you're gonna hit that kind of like top of the roller coaster, and it's all just gonna come to you, and it's gonna work out fine, and you've been there, you've done that.
And one thing I always appreciate by the center, and if I can speak a little bit about, you know, we have a faculty cohort that are all faculty mentors, and we have gotten together from time to time, and that's been a really rewarding experience to just meet with other faculty mentors and talk about our shared experience being mentors and our mentees, how rewarding it's been. So that's been kind of a great way to network as well with the center. But the other thing I really appreciate about the center and all the people that work there is that it is very human-centered. Like, this is very much, I mean, just go to any meeting that Stephanie runs, honestly. But
She's
just,
wonderful.
oh, it's just amazing.
Well, I was gonna ask, is there anything that you feel like has been challenging about being a mentor?
Challenging. Okay, I would say it's not really unusually challenging, but finding time could be challenging. Finding time to meet.
I'm just gonna start showing up outside your office.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I would welcome
I'm
it.
just gonna be like, hi
But
Jen, bye Jen.
Just, both of us have busy lives and busy schedules, and that's been, we have to make a real effort to make sure we got something on the calendar, and I think we've done a good job of that, but that's been challenging.
Which I think our mentorship circuit is 3 years at the center.
Oh,
I
really?
sit there,
We've had
and this
to.
is 3 years. This is year 3.
Oh.
But I still plan on being around because I love all the people involved at the center, and there's so many ways to continue to be involved at the center.